Listen, y'all, I am leaving this episode of The Boys, season 4, episode 4, Wisdom of the Ages, with so many questions, right? Is Sage uppity, or is she really one of the good ones? Homelander, are you healed? Did this give you everything that you need to move past this midlife crisis? Yeah. Firecracker, are you still a predator? You know what I mean? Y'all, without further ado, let's get right into this recap review of The Boys season 4 episode 4. Y'all, I'm eyes tied. Homelander, we know at the end of episode 3 was like, "Listen, I need to go back home. I need to go back to where this all started from." And we knew instantly it was a lab, right? But I was unaware of exactly who he was going to see because again, remember, he took out the main doctor who like apologized and said that Homelander was like the worst mistake of his life, right? And so he's there and he's looking for Barbara. Where's the director? Where's Barbara? Barbara, this is Shirley, right? I need you here. And they said she's out. And he's like, well, bring her back. And he brings them all out what appears to be a poo cake. You know what I mean? It's disgusting. Makes everyone in the lab partake of the cake while he hones in on a couple of the doctors, scientists that tortured him the worst. One, I guess, used to burn him to make sure he was fire resistant. The other guy caught him pleasing himself and called him squirt. And so he's just really, really disturbed by it. Okay. Next thing we see, the butcher's in the shower and the butcher is going down bad. The worms got him. All right. He's got the worms. All right. And he falls down in the tub. And immediately we see Wifey and she is there to help him pick up the pieces. Get up, butcher. It's not your time. It's not your time, but so he acquiesces to, you know, every request that she makes for him to get up and get a move on. Next, we go to Huey, honey, and they are about to pull the plug on his daddy, and he can't handle it. You know what I mean? And so he's like, what am I going to do? The mama, we already know she's on some kind of different type of time. This is what he wants. You know, he's virtually brain dead anyway. Nothing is going to help him. And so Huey's like, I know what I need to do. And in this moment, y'all, I knew his mama was diabolical. A diabolical piece of work is his mother. And I don't know what the length of that is going to be, but we know that she's associated with Vought, and I want us to keep that at the forefront of our mind as we go through. But if I didn't know she was diabolical before, I know that now, right? We also get a flash across the screen, and if you didn't catch this, of the Gen V kids, honey, and now all of them are missing. Well, the four or five of them are missing. Where they at? Vought got him in a lab somewhere. We already know. I need my good sis to get free, the blood chick, right? So she can do her big one as we go forward. Next, we see Starlight going to see President Singer and is basically like, listen, you need help getting this bill passed. I can help you with that. And yeah, can you, Starlight? Can you, Starlight? Again, I told y'all last time at our live that we do every Friday, so be sure to be there tomorrow, y'all, that Starlight would have to mobilize, right? She would have to fully embrace being Starlight again, and she would have to mobilize her constituency, her followers, the people that love her. She will need to get them boots on the ground, exactly like we see Sister Sage doing, but of course, you know, we see how that all devolves. Now we have Frenchie and Colin, and they stay getting busy. They can't keep their hands off of each other. They love it, right? They love it there. And my thing with Frenchie is like, why are you torturing yourself? You are messing with this man, knowing that you unalived his entire family and that it's going to end badly. What are you doing and why are you doing it? Self-torture? Is that what it is? You deserve it? I mean, I don't know. Now Vought has given the firecracker a show, all right? And Sister Sage has her new agenda. Basically, she's doing what I said to do, right? Mobilize the people. She's going to throw in some kind of like pieces that are disparaging to Firecracker, all at the hands of Starlight, you know, get a couple million views on it, turn the world upside down, because this is what we need, right? And so when she's breaking down the plan to Firecracker, Firecracker says to her, well, I always thought you were an uppity one. Sister Sage takes it on the chin, and I'm like, okay, sis, what are we doing here? And she's like, but you know what? You're not uppity. You're one of the good ones. And I'm just like, Sister Sage, are we gonna let that ride? Are we going to let that ride, Sister Sage? So again, not only, but again, we kind of see some of Sister Sage's prowess in this moment, because not only did she know that this would, be a big thing for Starlight, her whole plot and plan and scheme, right? But also that she might get some vindication with Firecracker, because she knew what this was going to do. She knew what it was going to do. The Deep, honey, because he's remembering their tryst last night, is like, Sister Sage, what's up, sis? And she's like, Deep, I find you disgusting. And I can't even articulate or quantify the reasons why. And she's like, and I love to do that. And I'm like, well, you got with Mr. Octopus. I mean, Butcher is back in the 7, honey, by order of Mother's Milk. And everybody's mad about it. Starlight puts up a little fuss, and it's like, okay, girl, we already know what it's going to be. And they basically are asking Starlight, why does Firecracker hate you? And of course, she wants to hide it. And I don't know why. I rather Starlight come on her platform, do a complete expose all the secrets of the past, lay herself bare and vulnerable. That way people can empathize, sympathize, and they will be her number one cheerleaders and supporters. I mean, that's just the game, and I need her to get on top of it. Hopefully in these next couple episodes, we will see that evolution of her. Butcher is basically like, we need $50,000 in a few hours so that we can get all the information we need to bring down Firecracker. Next, we see Firecracker, honey, and they done brought back the broke down preacher Ezekiel. All right, we know Stretch Adams. Okay. Meanwhile, Homelander is back at the lab incinerating people, the one that used to burn them. I guess it's just desserts. Huey and Kamiko meet A-Train in an alley because Huey's on a mission to get this V for his daddy. Now, someone had mentioned it last week, and the V, there's a couple different types, right? There is the V, I think, that they give to children, like the blue one. And then there's also a green one, which is the one, which was the new prototype, which was the one that Huey and Butcher were taking when they got their powers, right? And so we know that there's a different one. And so Huey is basically like, A-Train, I need some V for my dad. He's dying. If you do this, I'll forgive you. And I want to know from you guys, do you think A-Train is really repentant and is really on this redemption cycle? Like, what do you think it is? Or is it something else? You know what I mean? Part of me really wants to believe that A-Train is changing. But it's just hard because we have 3 seasons of a history seeing the things that he does. I think he wants to be good at his core. I just think everything else in his world is pushing him to be bad. And basically Huey's like, you know what, you owe me. And he's like, I already saved your life, man. He's like, no, you owe me because everything in my life that went bad is your fault. And I'm like, well, Huey, not everything. I mean, your mom left at 6. That was bad. That wasn't A-Train. Like, let's not project everything on him. Anyway, A-Train leaves, and all of a sudden Huey and Kamiko are being ambushed, and he of course breaks his ankle because I don't know why we needed that, but Kamiko knows she can find a weapon, so she arms him. They are sitting there waiting basically for the onslaught, and we find out a little bit more about Kamiko's history. Apparently, honey, Kamiko done lured this little girl with some ice cream and put her in a fighting pit and scarred her face up. And I think it's of course something more nefarious. I wonder if she was like a decoy or a procurer of young children to be in this experiment, right? To get the V and to morph and to fight them and all that. Definitely gives human trafficking kind of vibes. I don't like it. Kamiko seems like she's only remembering a part of it. Because when the young lady tells her, I hate you because you did X, Y, and Z, Kamiko starts to cry. And of course she gets Huey out of there, but it's like, okay, where is this going? And are they renegades, a militia? I want to know who they are because maybe the boys can ally themselves with them to help fight Vought. We'll see. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below because I'm just figuring this out, right? Honey, the Deep and the Firecracker do their duet. Love lift us up for where we belong. Did we need it? Did I need to see it? No, I didn't. Butcher basically says to Mother's Milk as they're kind of going through the trailers because now they're on set and is like, listen, if I don't make it, I need you to get Ryan out. And is like, what if you don't want to get out? Like, that's sweet and all for you to say this, Butcher. It's not like you. It's very sweet. But what if you don't want to go? He's like, you got to make him. And again, we know that, my theory is that Butcher wants his life to count for something good, right? He already feels like he abandoned his brother. He left his mom there with his psycho dad. He doesn't really feel like his life has much meaning. He lost his wife, you know what I mean? He alienated her son, which was the only living vestige of her. And now he wants to redeem himself before his end. But again, I don't think Butcher's going anywhere. And I think we got a clue about that today. So, honey, they confront Firecracker and are like, listen, you were 28 at the camp as a counselor, messing with a 15-year-old. Predator. And they said, we're going to send it unless you give us the tea on what Sister Sage got going on. And she's like, go ahead and send it. Better yet, I'll send it for you. Sends it. And I don't like this messaging that they're giving us in The Boys, you know, that a predator is more acceptable than, you know, a woman who had an A. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that messaging. But could it be true? These are questions we ask ourselves. And that's what I really love about the show, because we are forced to confront our own biases, right, about certain things and certain topics. And I thought that was really, really interesting. And we'll get into the deets of the rest of that later. And so, again, Child Ezekiel, Frenchie goes into his trailer trying to get the tea, or actually Firecracker's trailer, and Ezekiel pops up and he's gonna take Frenchie out. And I'm like, whoa, throws him through the window and everything. And then Billy is right there, Butcher, to get with him. And we're thinking that Butcher's on his way out because Ezekiel's got him tied up, you know, tangled up. And next thing we know, we hear a loud pop, honey, but it's not Butcher. It's Ezekiel's parts all over that trailer. But first we saw his worms moving. I said, did that set him free? Did it burst? Did it come out? What happened? I need to know the details. We need a scientist to come in and literally break this down for us. But of course, Frenchie is broke down, and he's been off his game ever since he's been messing with Colin. All right. Very, very off his game. Next, we see A-Train in Homelander's trailer, or in his apartments, and he didn't find the public hairs. He didn't found the milk. Disgusting. Finally, he finds the V. He grabs his vial, but on his way out, he sees Ashley, and Ashley then went to the man's bathroom and didn't flush. Like, come on, guys. But I'm going to stick beside you, boys. I'm going to stick beside you. Next, Homelander is back in the lab, and now he's blowing balls off because the man called him Squirt. All right. Kamiko, we find out about that. And so now, honey, Firecracker is back on the TV, and she is telling all of Starlight's business. She got Starlight's medical records and then told the world that Starlight had an abortion, honey. Why she do that? Starlight loses her ish. Do you tell me? She runs across the way. Well, first she flights up, like she lights up. We all know how she gets, you know. And they're like, okay, relax. It's okay. Calm down. She can't take it. She can't take it. She goes over there, beats the brakes off Starlight, or off Firecracker, beats her down, breaks her down like a fraction. Okay. Meanwhile, everybody's watching. The world is watching. Had to come pull her off. And while all this is happening in 4K, Sister Sage is there like one pebble down the mountain, right? And then she says, how about being uppity now, Firecracker? Just gonna sit it right there. It was a lot going on. Finally, we're back in the lab with Homelander, and we get to meet Miss Barbara. Miss Barbara is a tough cookie, or purports to be, right? And she makes Homelander feel so small in this moment. She's like, listen, we paid psychiatrists and psychologists to come in here and condition you to need love and approval. You'll never get free from it. You'll always seek love and approval. And yeah, programmed. She said, we programmed you like that. And that was one of our most successful missions in this case. And Barbara's like, no matter what you do to any of them people in there, if you take them all out, if you do whatever, it's not going to matter because our job is done. you'll always need approval and you'll always need love. And he says, no, I'm breaking the chain. Ryan will not be like this. I will not raise him this way. Yeah, Miss Barbara had balls of steel, but I don't know if she should have, because he ends up unaliving all them people. It was on the walls, it was on the ceiling, it was on the floor, it was dripping behind her, and she's mortified. And I said, well, you weren't such a tough cookie after all, Miss Barbara. But he spared her for whatever reason. Now Frenchie is being repaired by Colin. Colin is nursing Frenchie back to health. And Frenchie thinks this is the best possible time to tell him that I'm the one who unalived your family. After earlier in the episode having Colin break down what happened to the family, like he didn't know. So you did this to his family. You have him rehashing the moments and you're screwing him, Frenchie. Like, what part of any of this makes sense to you, my guy? And so he tells them again, as he's already battered and bruised. And maybe Frenchie just wanted to be unalived in that moment. Maybe he did, because Colin jumps up, beats him down even more. And Frenchie says he's sorry. Too little, too late. Colin says, if I ever see you again, I'm going to unalive you. Okay. Finally, we see Sister. We don't need to keep ending the episodes like this, though, guys. I don't need to see her lobotomizing herself or getting a lobotomy at the end or near about end of every single episode. Like, we just don't need it. I can do without it. I promise. Okay. And so she's sitting there with the deep. He's back for some coot nanny, right? And she's like, I need you to give me a frontal lobotomy. And she, do it. And he says no. And she's like, well, I will give you a different type of Smex, okay, and we can watch the Kim K. Ray J tape. And he's Johnny on the spot. She walks him through it, and I was like, is she going to arrive while he's doing this? The way she was screaming and yelling out, like, what is it? Is it self-hate? Is it self-loathing, right? Because she's like, I just don't want to be myself for a couple hours. Why don't you want to be yourself, Sister Sage? Is the weight of genius that heavy? Questions the people needs answers to, but it's sick any way you slice it. We also find out that her regeneration is actually limited exclusively to her brain. She says if you stab her in the heart, she's out of there. But if you do it to the brain, a couple hours later, her brain will grow back. And immediately, honey, we hear face down, A up. And I'm begging the question, after these couple shows I watch, different shows, different networks, is that the theme? Face down, A up? Is that what we're doing? Next, we see Newman on the television, and she is decrying her association, renouncing, whatever you want to say, her association with Starlight. She's violent. I don't know what she's going to do, blah, blah, blah. Kamiko's kind of sitting in who she was, right? Kamiko's remembering, and I think sitting in that moment. And when Starlight sees Newman on there and is about to break down, she welcomes an embrace. You know what I mean? President Singer says the bill is done because Starlight sealed the deal on any, hope they had on pushing the bill forward. But I think, again, that Starlight can rally. She just has to stand up. Stand up, sis. Huey has the V in hand, and he forgives A-Train. Is it a true forgiveness? Is A-Train's repentance true? We shall see. But Butcher's there the whole time, pops up out of the alley like, what are you doing? He says, I have to forgive him, man. He's like, well, what are you going to do with the V? He says, it's for my dad. And Butcher says, you're making a bad situation worse. All right. I already took some of it thinking it was going to heal me, and it's only speeding up D-Day. All right. And Huey's like, well, I still got to do what I got to do. Yeah. And then, of course, he sees wifey again. And, next thing we see, Huey is in the hospital. And he is ready to give the V, and he thinks better of it and decides not to. Just at that moment, his mom walks in looking damn suspicious. That's suspicious. She looks so suspicious. And he's like, I gotta leave the room. And my thing is, who is she really? There is an association with Vought, but she wasn't just a door-to-door salesperson for Vought. Something more nefarious is looming. He goes out to get a snack, honey, and we get back and we see the blue-green stuff coursing through Daddy's veins. All of a sudden, Daddy's up and he's awake. Will he have mental capacity? What's the deal? All right. And then I believe the final scene we see is Homelander, proud of himself, honey, in the elevator, just covered in guts. Y'all, that's the episode. As far as my review, y'all, it's still not my favorite episode. I am still looking for more depth in terms of the story. I still want to know more about Sister Sage, but I know that they're getting to it eventually. Yeah, and I really want to know what Homelander thought all of this did for him. I also want to see a stronger Starlight. That's my hope for the next episode. If you guys are still here, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And join us tomorrow, Friday, where we will be live here talking all things The Boys Season 4, Episode 4. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.